If you've been following along with me, you might have seen that I made these shorts. I love these shorts and I want them to be perfect because so far they are. And all I have left to do is finish the hem. So I was thinking about it and I just want to show you one of my hem fails. So you know how someone who's really good at sewing or someone who's a professional at sewing, well, it's possible for professionals to not do a fabulous job too. So I just want to show you here. This hem is my cashmere linen blend pants that I love to wear. They're really, really comfortable, but the hem is not sitting right because I think I wasn't careful with the dimensions of the facing I made to finish the hem. If I turn it to the inside, you can see I even took the time to do a silk charmeuse binding on the edge to wrap the raw edge of the facing, and I hand stitched it, which for me is a huge commitment because I'm not a hand stitching lover, but I tried my best, and at the end of the day I wasn't happy with the way they came out. I mean, I may someday take it apart and try to fix it, but for now I just iron them really well and I wear them. When I'm moving and shaking, it's not so noticeable, but I want to do a better job on the hem for my floral linen shorts, and partially because the hem is up higher, it's right at my knee. So this hem is down at my feet, so people will notice, but it's not as noticeable. So I feel like, I may get back to fixing these, but what I want to do is sort of revisit how to finish a hem with a facing and do it in a way where it sits right, so when it's sewn up everything lays nice and smooth. So I have my shorts pattern in front of me here, and what I'm going to do is design the facing for the hem right on my pattern pieces, and I'm just going to use a ruler, and I'm going to use a pen here. And this is really very simple. Because this is the shape of the leg, I should be able to get, a good accurate pattern here. I'm going to make my hem allowance, I'm going to make it 1.5 inches. An inch and a half, because there's going to be a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So the finished facing on the inside will be 1 inch. I think that's good. So I'm just going to measure across and draw myself a line here. Okay, so you can see this is going to be my hem facing to this blue line. And you can see, if you look carefully, especially at the inseam, it starts to get longer. And if I measure, let's just measure what the differences are. At the base of the hem, the leg measures, let's see, it measures 14 3/4, and up at the top of the facing, it's going to measure 1/4 inch longer. So that 1/4 inch needs to be there, because if I just cut, just strips to make a finish, it would be too tight or it would be too short up at the top. And I think that's what happened to my blue pants. So there's about a 1/4 inch difference in the back. And then I'm going to go ahead and, I already drew, actually. Here's my 1.5 inch here. It's pink. That's actually the line I used to shorten the leg when I when I cut out my silk charmeuse lining for the shorts, but that's also 1.5 inches. So I'm good there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace off these pieces, and you'll notice I am so excited about my magnetic cutting board because it makes it so easy for me to do things, because I can just use the little booster magnets to hold it. So basically I'm just going to dash in my side seam, and then I'm just going to mark a bracket here, or a little L-shaped bracket like that, okay? Because I know that above and below that, those are straight lines. So this is going to be my front. And then Let me go ahead and just get my back. Like this. And again, you can see how easy this is for me to just stick my little boosters on there and go. So again, I'm just going to do the shape of the side and inseam and then draw a little horizontal line where the bottom of the hem is and then the top of the facing will be. Now I can just use my ruler to draw these straight lines. Like this and like this. Okay, so I've got that one and I've got that one. Oh, and let me just do this one. Hold on. Okay. All right, so now I've got my two pattern pieces. This is the back and that's the front. I only need a pretty small scrap of linen here, and I have a piece right here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out these pieces like this. Cut out the pieces. Just cut out this side here. All right. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plan my positioning on this fabric. And I think I want to give the hem a little body. So I'm going to use some of my cotton fuse to stabilize this linen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fold this down like this. And I'm going to cut out two pieces of linen for each leg that will be my facing. So let me just go ahead and lay those like this. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the orientation is because it's going to be on the inside. So I'm just going to cut these two out like this. And again, I love these booster magnets because look how skinny they are. I can literally stick them right on there. All right, now I'm just going to cut out the linen, and I'm going to cut all the short ends first, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to use my ruler to cut the long ends because I feel like that'll just make a nice, smooth edge. Leave that flat. So I'm just going to use my ruler. Okay, now I can move this out of the way. Oh, now my boosters are in the way. So I'll just remove all of them except for the one on the end. And I'll just get that little bit there. So there are my back pieces. And then let's cut out the front. And again, I'm just going to remove all of the boosters except for the one on the end. And I'm just going to use my ruler to cut out the other side of this like that. All right, so now I've got my two pieces. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cotton fuse, and one of the reasons why I love my cotton fuse interfacing is because you can snip and rip it. All right, so I'm going to put it on my cutting board, and I'm going to measure 1.5 inches like this. So I've got one there, and I've got one there. So there's 2 strips. That might be enough to cut out both, but we'll see. I'm going to just snip and rip these strips, which which makes it nice and easy to then take them and fuse them on. So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to see if I can get a back. Oh, I'm not going to be able to. All right, so this will be for my back pieces, and then I'll cut out front pieces. But basically, you can see that makes a very accurate strip like that. So all I'm going to do with these two strips after I snip and rip them is I'm going to put them glue side together so I get a, you know, a right and a left. And I'm going to cut out the side. I'm going to cut the side ends. Okay, and again, I can use my little booster magnet to hold this nice and taut for me. Like that. And then I can take my pattern piece and just cut the ends to match. Now my inseam is going to be a little bit more angled than my side seam, so that's why I made sure I put the glue sides facing each other so I wouldn't have like two left legs or two right legs. All right, so I've got that, so that takes care of the back, and then I'm gonna snip and rip. All right, so again, I'm gonna take these strips and I'm gonna use my sew tights to hold them together on my magnetic cutting mat, and I'm gonna use my front pattern piece to cut out. To cut the ends off here. Okay, let me just cut this one. All right, so now I'm going to fuse the interfacing to the wrong side of the linen. That's the next step. Oh, wait a minute, I have a better idea. I'm looking at these pieces and I just realized that I can even make better use of my interfacing. Hold on. All right, well, here they are matching, first of all. All right, so you can just fuse these, sew them together, finish the top edge with the serger, and then sew it to the pants. But I just realized, looking at this, I'm going to turn this sideways, and what I'm going to do here is I am going to trim off a quarter from each of these strips. So I'm going to make each piece 1.25 inches. All right, so 1.25 inches. Okay. Sometimes I think of things as I'm working along, so I apologize that I'm switching gears here, but it's going to be exciting. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, now that I've trimmed those, okay, so now that I've trimmed everything to 1.25 inches, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these, I'm going to keep them separated so I know which one goes to which, so I don't have to rework that. But here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, first I'm going to iron it here. Okay, on the right side, I'm going to go ahead and mark 1/4 inch across the top, like this. And then I'm just going to use my blue Choco liner to mark that. Like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this under 1/4 inch. like this, so I can see the blue chalk as I press. That's how I know I'm getting an accurate 1/4 inch. Able to guess what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take my interfacing and I'm going to fuse it on, and it's going to hold that little top edge down. That way I don't have to use the serger to finish the top edges. So I'm going to position it so that the very, very top, let me do it this way so you can see. I'm going to position the interfacing on so it's just a tad, like a 32nd of an inch lower than the folded edge. And what that's going to do is it's going to hold this down for me, so when I top stitch it in place later, it's not going to move. Like this. Okay, so I want to just see a little tiny piece of the fabric as I press. And I'm going to start in the middle-ish. And I'm going to press it. Let me just get that so it's, I want to make sure it's really close to the edge, but not going over the edge like that. And I'm just going to give that a nice little press. All right, so look how nice this is now. And I've got this nice stable facing, and I'll trim this little bit of extra interfacing off of the bottom edge, but I feel like this is going to be really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this procedure to interface the rest of the pieces.